Welcome to another episode of the DevReady podcast. Today I've got Jack Bear joining me. Welcome, Jack.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Why don't you introduce yourself to everyone so then I don't do a bad job at it?
No worries. So I'm Jack. I'm the managing director of Norg. We're an AI startup that's been going for about 13, 14 months now. We're a team of 14 in Australia. And then we have, between 10 and 20 contractors overseas that sort of help with a lot of the manual data entry, testing, that sort of thing. We are originally, our background for half the team is probably web development. So we come from a web dev agency and we quickly identified a great opportunity in AI. And I guess the sort of way we got started was we pitched clients at our current web dev agency on potential solutions to see if there was, demand for it. And we sort of had a good idea around what some early use cases of AI were. And from there, we sort of pinstrapped to building out our own product by essentially using any of the money, the surplus money we made from projects and rolling that into our own offering, and also creating and taking projects that sort of helped build out our own sort of IP.
Yep. Yeah, it's a good way to do it, especially when you're running sort of a service consulting business and providing value to users. It gives you that direct user base to a domain you understand, customers who have a need that you can fill, and you can test out your idea like you've done.
Yeah, and that's it. And we had a good concept of what they were trying to do, their businesses, and good, obviously, connections and relationships within those businesses. So they were very helpful and accommodating for the most part to sort of get the ball rolling. And I think what we've sort of worked out at that time too, if we're talking about 8 months ago, a lot of, whether it's your marketing manager or your ecom manager, their bosses were sort of breathing down their neck saying, hey, we need to explore AI opportunities. So those conversations weren't very hard to have
Yep.
because everyone was pretty eager to learn.
Yeah, I think ChatGPT opened up a lot of AI conversations for everyone.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Were you thinking about AI as the base to the product before sort of the end of 2022, so like November when ChatGPT came out?
No, no, it was literally as it came out.
Yep.
I would have had to been one of the first, probably, in the first 10, 20,000 users. The other thing we did at our digital agency was SEO,
Hmm.
and a lot of SEO is content writing, writing meta descriptions. It's a lot of copy for the most part.
Yep.
And instantly it was like, okay, well, this is a complete game changer because the output's just been 100x
Yep.
on what's achievable. And if we as an agency don't adapt, agencies are going to be able to deliver the same service for a much lower price.
Yep.
So it was an opportunity we knew we sort of had to take advantage of. But in the end, we really never touched SEO. It was more at the start some bespoke sort of solutions for clients that sort of had that need.
Yep. So do you want to let everyone know a little bit of background about sort of the product that you moved into? So it's called Norg and what you do for those e-commerce clients?
Yeah. So I guess early on we started off with chatbots, as pretty much everyone did in the space, just because it made sense and was a pain point for a lot of our customers, and we knew it'd be something that's not too tough of a sell. So we started off with chatbots, but we sort of quickly realized that it was going to become very overly saturated, and it was very hard to sort of explain the differential between an AI chatbot and your intercoms, which sort of pre-existed.
Yep.
So that's sort of where we started. We then worked out, okay, well, also the terminology chatbot is, I guess, got a negative connotation towards it. No one really deals with pleasant experiences when using a chatbot online. So it was also about, I guess, giving it a new name and wrapping it up, because it is, for the most part, a completely different product and a different way of interacting.
Hmm.
And the other thing we've sort of worked out was it's really hard to convey the value of the chatbot without some sort of data to back it up, whether it's how many support queries you're handling, how many support tickets with customer support are reducing by having one. And the other thing that was more quantifiable and easier sell is if you can boost CRO and essentially sell more products, then it's a very easy sign off. So that's sort of the direction we've headed in and been heading in for the last 6 months,
Yep. So,
giving more personalized product recommendations to customers navigating our clients' websites.
yep. What's CRO? Because I don't know if I
So
have.
conversion rate optimization. So
Okay.
if we can increase the average order of their cart, if we can upsell them. So like a great example of CRO would be when you're on Amazon and you see people also bought. It's a sale that potentially wouldn't have happened without that. So by being able to track that and show that the AI is pushing people into that direction, it's a great selling point for us, and it's 100% a worthwhile tool for the business.
Yeah, so it's just increasing the basket size or the checkout size as
Yeah,
any
that's
way
it.
possible, really. And then yeah, so I'm assuming yeah the main touch points on sort of that example you gave with AI would be all right. What have people purchased in the past that are similar to that product? What's a trend? Like they may not have happened in the past. It may just be a recent change in what they're purchasing and bundling together, and then you're suggesting that in a really simple way of explaining it.
Yeah, and also just having personalized interactions because you could go on and go, hey, my mum loves wine from this region in France. It's her birthday. My budget's this much. Give me some recommendations. And then you have an LLM essentially giving you those recommendations, which previously you'd be navigating a website, and then maybe doing some research on Google to sort of find out what's the product you want to buy.
Yep. Have you found that with sort of the large language models that are coming out now in ChatGPT, that it's a much easier conversation to have with people about using AI as part of a feature set in a product?
It is and it isn't. I think it actually has gotten tougher. So, for example, we had a pitch to the Victorian government. So it was like a solution architect forum where basically they have solution architects from all different industries within the government. Could be health, could be transport, whatever it is. And they are, for the most part, they were very hesitant. They were very skeptical, which sort of led us down a new tangent of LM hallucinations. Because you can even test it on ChatGPT. You ask it the same question twice, you ask it 10 times, it might give you a completely different answer every time.
Yep.
And for them, if they are giving a client or customer, nurse, doctor, whoever it is, information, there needs to be a level of consistency to it. And the way things currently stand, I think that the examples that get brought up all the time was that Chevy chatbot
Yep. The $1 car.
where someone got a $1 car, yeah, and it went viral on Twitter. And the other one was the Air Canada, where basically the customer took them to court.
Yep.
They were sort of trying to argue that the AI chatbot itself is its own legal entity, even though it's tied to their
Yep.
website and it's answering on behalf of the business.
Yeah, there's people that are trying to jailbreak it in ChatGPT, and it's going to be a thing that they'll do on websites that are running chatbots as well. So there's always going to be trying someone to game it. My go-to example is the National Eating Disorder Association of America. If you know that one, they released a chatbot early on last year, and it was giving people advice that would trigger eating disorders. So go on a diet, go into a calorie deficit, and just telling them all the opposite things of
Right.
what they actually should do.
Yeah, it's a perfect example, and so there's definitely those areas that we've been looking into heavily over the last couple months because we've worked out these advanced use cases aren't coming as soon as people think
Yep.
because as soon as you go down like an agent architecture or state-based architecture where it's essentially multiple like AI personas, I guess, your level of failure increases drastically. So we,
Yep.
we played around in that space. We had a state-based architecture for HR, so for classifying EBAs. Essentially, what that allows you to do is you work through a decision tree problem for the most part, which is, if you're classifying a modern award, it could be how much experience do you have, what are your qualifications, what's your age, are you an Australian resident, all these things that you have to chronologically go through. Each step increases that chance of failure for the most part. So we sort of worked out for now doing the basics well and having that sort of sanity check over it where people can't inject their own prompts, it's not producing profanity, it is getting fact checked every single time. If you can address those things, it's going to be much easier for the sort of enterprise level clients to be able to sign up to comfortably. And the other thing is, there's no real solutions for it at the moment, so we're sort of having to build them in house because people haven't really tackled this problem yet. Because people are just starting to release all their AI products, and there's no real control or sanity check over them.
Yep. Yeah, it's a very new industry and area, especially just using large language models. If you were going to what I'll call, say, real AI, where you're actually building machine learning models, that was a completely different ballgame where it's all about data collection, data cleaning, and then testing and tweaking. And this is using an API, but understanding how it actually works is a different ballgame, and yeah, using it consistently. So, in the scenario of say of chatbot, yeah, having relevant information consistently is key, and that's for that use case. But if you're using it in more of a creative way, depending on what product you're doing, so if it's helping you write, say, product descriptions, having a bit of hallucination may not be a bad thing because then it's a little bit creative.
Correct. But when someone's asking about the return policy and it doesn't know and it just fills in the blanks, that company's probably liable for it. So therefore, it's a big red flag for that
Yeah,
business.
yeah, I didn't even think
We
of that.
need
Yeah,
control over that sort of data.
yep,
And so that's sort of what we've been trying to which ironically we just use a smaller LLM to then sanity check the other LLM.
yeah.
That's the
Before it
best.
goes in or after it comes back.
Yeah, after it goes in, just before it gets presented to the unit user, ideally it streams from the smaller LLM to sanity check it, and then it gives it a score of, how likely is this to be accurate.
Yep.
And then we have a threshold of, okay, if it's above a 90% score, you can let it through. If not,
Yeah,
it'll actually stop the dialogue.
yeah. That seems to be the way to do it from our experience as well. So we're similar boat consulting business. We've found a product that we're building ourselves using AI to help in our process, not more for customers, but to try and automate the process that we're doing. And it is that process. It's you're developing solutions to these problems that a lot of people are having, but no one's got anything available for it, or there's no just like plug and play solution really. It's how do you fit it into your use case? Like you're saying, yeah, sanity check the output. All right, if it fails, generate another response until you get something right, really.
Correct. And that's the other difficult thing is like we're developing that in tandem to our core product, but realistically, it's a product that is going to be needed by many AI organizations, and it doesn't exist. And therefore, there's definitely some value in developing that. So it's very easy to get lost because every problem you face, there's no real solution to it.
Yep.
And you can build a solution to it, but then what happens if someone builds a perfect turnkey solution for it in 6 months' time and you've spent all this tech,
Yeah.
accumulated all this tech debt on developing something that you probably didn't need?
Yeah. But the thing, it's so early that it's hard to tell what everyone's building. A lot of people are secret about it as well. So that's LangChain when that first came out. People don't know who are listening. That's a framework that helps you sort of interface with multiple like AI systems like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, so you don't have to then talk to each one. But that started the same way. It's a tool that they started building to make things easy, and they've just been expanding it. But even
Correct.
then, that's not perfect either.
Yeah.
All of those tools are not perfect.
Yeah. There's so much room for innovation.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, did you have experience? So, with your agency, was that your agency, or did you spin out of the agency as employees? Just want to
No,
see where your like startup experience
we
came
spun out of
from.
the agency. So basically, I got together enough clients to the point where I was like, okay, I pitched the agency and I said, we can do this. And then we stole our solution architect, which wasn't that nice because he sort of ran most projects there. And a automated tester who in the background was loved AI, had spent last year developing his own products, or just in his free
Hmm.
time, spending time on building out his own AI tools. Brought them across, and then we started hiring data scientists, machine learning, a guy in machine learning, and then a guy who was just pure AI. And then from there, we've sort of expanded to, I guess, the needs, which, added some front end guys, some Python guys.
Yep.
So yeah, so that's sort of how we expanded. But now we're pretty much solely focusing on rolling out our own product.
Yep. So this will be your first like startup experience running through it and going through everything. What sort of challenges have you faced from working from the agency to then moving into what you are doing now at Norg as a founder?
For the most part, it actually gave me a lot of structure to go off because it wasn't like the internal setup of the company I could, for the most part, duplicate very easily. And it was structure and processes that our solution architect was already familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, it was actually really good, and would have saved us a lot of time. For the most part, we have like a flat organizational structure within the company, and yeah, all our work in progress meetings, stand ups, all that pre-existed. So there wasn't too much to set up, and we could have sort of utilized as much of the previous sort of environment. So it was actually, no, it was perfect, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
It helped us a lot.
Yeah, because we see there's when we talk to founders, whether they're on through the podcast or coming into us as for help on projects. I think it's like three categories we get really. There's the serial entrepreneurs just bounce from idea to idea to idea and nothing's stuck yet. You've got similar to your space, domain expert working in a space, has an idea and then starts. And then the third one would be sort of like the young person who hasn't had a experience working yet, has an idea and goes to work on it.
Yeah, I'm sort of put in two of those camps. But yeah, no, I do have a fair bit of like I'm working in the digital space since I was 17.
Yep.
And for the most part, I already sort of had some sort of management role prior, although this is very different because every decision sort of hinges on you.
Yep.
And there's no one to go to complain or, I guess, think tank some of
There's
these.
no fallback. It's the decision. The onus is on you to either make it or not. And then if it doesn't get made, then there's no one's going to chase you up on it.
That's it. You're the end of the chain. So there's no real support network for the most part.
Yep.
That's, I'd say, the main difference.
Have you? Do you have that support from the team members that you brought in
Yeah.
with the way you're structuring everything?
Yeah. I guess the other thing that sort of you notice is developers, especially experienced developers, they're used to having very clear objectives and plans when building. So for them, it's also a bit new because for the most part, there's bandwidth for them to go, actually, we should be focusing on this, or have we looked into this? And that's something that's probably new to them as well.
Yep.
So I guess there's differences there. And also, I mean, you can tell some people the lack of structure early on. For some, it was really exciting. Some of them loved it.
Yep.
For others, it was a little bit concerning because normally they have a very structured day. So yeah, it is definitely different. I think now at the moment, though, it's gotten a lot clearer, so to speak, because all we're doing is doing soft launches for clients, getting their feedback, conducting our own user testing in the background as well, and then iterating based off that. And that's purely because we didn't just stumble across a product that was ready to go. It was more we knew we wanted to be in this space, and then we sort of had to align ourselves to where we thought there was a suitable fit for us.
Yep.
And the best way to do that now is just feedback. And I guess the other challenge we face is when you're too involved with your own product, features I think are awesome doesn't necessarily relate to the customer. And that's purely because I know how much effort was put into these features, but also equally it doesn't mean it's outputting or resulting in that for the actual client. So yeah, so now it's purely iterating based on external feedback, customer testing, and yeah, which makes it a lot clearer and easier for us.
Yep. In those first few months, I'm sure it's probably a lot of like experimentation. Like, what can the models actually do, and how can then we then leverage and just experiment, test, and iterate, really? Because I think that's that's the process we went through. It's all right. You can do it by hand in ChatGPT and get some idea, and then all right, when you start working with it, all right, this one time it gave me a different result, and that starts a new idea, and you just test and evolve from there. But has that experimentation sort of made you pivot what you were thinking the product was going to be in the early stages versus where it's at now?
Oh, we've pivoted so many times. It's not even funny. So early stages, it was literally like let's speak to the owner of the businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So handpick the clients and go, okay, let's go. What's your biggest problem right now that you can't solve? For some, that was like an EBA. For others, it was automating content. But we sort of picked the ones that we thought, okay, what's the problem has to be widely applicable. It could be Australia, it could be global.
Mm-hmm.
So we started with the EBAs, which was basically almost like a payroll solution, which is this company was a crane company. So they're basically working on construction sites of all different values.
Yep.
And, there's so many variables. If there's rain, how much are we paying our staff? If they work 12 hours straight, how much break do they then need? If it's a $30 million site, what level of expertise is used? So basically, we built them a solution that could categorize all their, essentially plug and play it, put in a timesheet, and then it will spit out how much they should be paid.
Mm-hmm.
Because currently that was taking, it could take 6 hours per timesheet for
Oh
their
wow.
payroll staff. So that was a good problem. However, once again, it was the hallucinations that made it extremely difficult. And without someone consistently sanity checking it, and as well as the sales process, if we went to market with that, it'd take us 2 years to onboard someone.
Yep.
By the
Okay.
time that a government or enterprise would be ready to sign off and use it, it's probably a
Mm-hmm.
2.5 year progress process. So we started with that. The other one we did was assistance. So you know how OpenAI released assistance?
Yep.
We pretty much made the exact same thing, and then they launched it, and we went, "Holy crap, this is exactly what we've done," which was a bit of a tough spot for us because it was good confirmation that hey, you built something that's useful, but it
Yep.
was also more like this. It was too broad of a scope, so to speak. So
Mm-hmm.
if it made sense for someone like OpenAI to do that. But that being said, we didn't really waste it because that sort of became our management portal. It also it's not agnostic too, so I think with OpenAI you're sort of locked into their ecosystem, and
Yep.
all the cloud providers who are partnering with a LLM that's trying to get that sort of same scenario where you're locked into their cloud platform, you're locked into that LLM. So us having an agnostic LLMs, agnostic cloud providers, I think it gives you a good, I guess, edge. And the other thing is the way I see it going is I think you can use multiple LLMs within a singular company because there'll be LLMs that will come out that are just for arithmetic, LLMs that are coming out just for fact checking, and therefore being able to switch and have multiple LLMs all housing your data in the same environment, I think it's at some point going to be very important to companies.
Yeah,
So
it's not just that, it's the yeah, they specialize in different things. So GPT 3.5 Instruct is better at doing step by step based sequences than GPT 4 is, I think. But
yeah,
GPT 4 is more creative. So yeah, depending on what use case you need it for, then yeah, you'll bounce between them, or you'll go to Claude or Gemini or whatever it may be. That's definitely going to happen.
yeah, and also with the open source models, if you start training them on one specific task, it's going to quickly become better than GPT-4 at interpreting legal framework or
Yep.
something niche like that. I think it's definitely going to go in the direction of there's going to be LLMs for specific tasks. So yeah, I think having that sort of ecosystem in place that we've built will be useful. But for now, it's just managing our solution, and it's managing all their data. It's got all their analytics. They can upload their own knowledge bases. They can fine tune the model to a certain degree. They can look at all their alerts of, okay, well, this maybe wasn't completely accurate. This was like a low score for trustworthiness. all that sort of stuff can be managed from their portal.
So you've had a lot of variety in your journey from where you started with coming out of an agency and testing on just building sort of custom solutions and then narrowing it down into the e-commerce space. What are some of those key lessons you've learned along the way that you would then let some of the other listeners out there know that, all right, if you're going down this path, these are some of the things to think about?
Yeah. E-commerce is tricky, but it's hard to build because what you need to sell it is the data to back it up. Because the data is gold. The data is, if you can give it to a marketing manager and said, you wanted us to promote this product because you have heaps of stock of it. We increased the sales of it by 40% for the month. Then that's something quantifiable that they can take to their director or whatever and go, this is why we pay for them. It's increased our online revenue for this product by X amount of money, or this tool's increased our average order value by 30%. So as long as you can have as long as you can make it a data-driven decision for them, it's much easier to get the sign-off and approval. And I think a lot of AI products at the moment, it's a bit wishy-washy in regards to what actual value are you delivering our business. And it's a bit off topic, but the other thing that sort of you come across a lot, especially at the moment, is a lot of pre-existing solutions are rebranding with an AI wrapper because it's a great marketing buzzword for the most part. And when someone's looking for a new tool, if you throw AI in it, chances are it's going to pique their interest a little bit more because they're thinking, okay, well, we're going to future-proof this problem we have, and this company has an AI solution, whereas this company doesn't, even though they might be completely identical. And the AI solution they're offering is so insignificant to the actual product. It does, for the most part, what I gather, give people a leg up. And yeah, and I mean, also, if you look at a lot of AI companies, such small percentage of them have a product ready to go, a product that you can actually onboard yourself online, set up, configure, and deploy without speaking to a salesman or something along those lines or booking in a demo. It's very rare, which just to me means that people have branded really quickly to try and get some of that, I guess, industry authority saying, hey, we're the leaders in AI in this space or this niche. However, they don't actually have the product yet to back it up. And I've been in quite a few of those sales calls, and then you go, oh, well, we've got a limited budget. We're happy to do this. And they go, oh, why don't you try our old offer, our pre-existing product, and then when you're more suitable, then we'll reach out to you, which to me is like, okay, well, they haven't built it.
Yep.
And
There's a lot of like smoke and mirrors.
so much. It's quite ridiculous. And the best way to ask is literally just go, can you show me clients you have this live for? And then they go, no, sorry, we're building at the moment for this company, this company, this company.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. It's very niche. Like you said, they're just jumping on the bandwagon in a lot of places. And all right, everyone's got an AI chatbot and now they're an AI company. That's a lot
Correct.
of the use cases.
Correct. I think because when we were experimenting for, I guess like our HR solution, when we were doing the EBAs, I remember people kept trying to compare what we were doing to Employment Hero because they go, oh well, Employment Hero's got AI now. What's different about you? And I remember looking on Employment Hero and like it's a great solution for businesses, but the AI aspect of it was just so negligible. It was essentially the only thing they'd rolled out was a contract writer. It was either job description or contract writer. And I'm thinking like, you're paying all this extra money for this when you could go on ChatGPT and it wanted you to upload templates. So let's say you were hiring a salesman, it wanted you to upload like a previous
Yep.
job description. And I'm like, you could just go on ChatGPT and go, here's this job description, update it for this person's name,
Yep.
and fill in the details. And that was like all they were offering in the AI realm. So yeah, there's definitely some, I guess, manipulative marketing at the
Oh,
moment.
it's always. I've advised clients just to do some really basic stuff if they want to get AI in there, if they need to tell people they're AI enabled. but it's just so they can say it's not running the platform. But then we've pitched full ideas that they're just not ready to implement yet. So it does happen, and we slightly push it a little bit depending on, all right, is this person going to look for funding? All right, then there's a broader vision for it, but that's the first step to get them there. It's not just to try and scam people almost.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing is, you could, I'm sure people are going to start doing this, but you could literally buy a semi-failing software business and rebrand it, re-sticker it with some sort of AI functionality and raise money off it. And you flip that business in 12 months.
Yeah, as long as you can market it and get the users, but that's always hard part. Getting that market fit is never an easy thing, as you would have seen through all your pivots.
Yeah, no, it definitely isn't. But if you've got that pre-existing user base,
Yep.
and then you can try and grow it by having that AI spin-off to your product, and you'll probably keep your current customers happy because they're like, oh, look at these new features that are included in my subscription.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
can,
it's definitely a way to do it.
yeah, it seems to be there's a few popping up.
Yeah. So in that journey you've had and all those sort of different conversations, directions you've been taking, how important is that stakeholder feedback to you?
Oh, it's completely crucial. It's all our next 6 to 9 month roadmap. That's all we're going to be iterating off.
Yep.
Me and I'm completely stepping back. I'm not picking any features because otherwise we're just building features for no reason, and then
Yep.
you have a clunky product that's not actually delivering what people need it for or what
Hmm.
it's best suited for. So yeah, that's completely exactly what we're trying to do at the moment is just iterate purely on feedback to make sure that we're building a product that's valuable and has use cases.
Yeah, and that's the best way to do it for anyone listening. It's don't build what you think, survey it and get feedback because, like you said earlier, Jack, it's what you think isn't necessarily what someone wants. It's just
Yeah,
what you think is a good feature, not is it providing value to someone.
yeah. The one thing I wish I did, because I could have done it really easily, I'd say, is waiting lists.
Yep.
So I probably would have, in hindsight now, if I was going back 12 months, I would have set up 4 or 5 different websites. Doesn't matter what the brand name was. And then I probably would have maybe spent, let's call it 2 grand on each site, pushing social media ads for different products. And then literally just basing it off a waiting list on which website got the most waiting lists. And then having a little survey when they sign up saying what features are you looking for.
Yep.
And then I would have built that.
Yeah, because then that's giving you feedback directly from the market from people that saying they're willing to pay. So it's a
Yeah.
better indication than you sticking your finger in the air and thinking, "Yep, all right, the wind's blowing this way, so we'll build it."
Correct. Yeah, so that's how I wish I did it, and it's a pretty relatively inexpensive way to do it because if you go down a path of building something, you're going to rack up way more than 10 grand in
Yeah,
tech
that
debt.
that's always the
And
thing. It's a cheaper way to learn what not to do.
yeah, so that is definitely one thing that I wish I did.
Yep.
Little late
Uh,
now, so now it's time to iterate based off any other feedback we can get.
Yeah, but that's a good way to approach it and a different way for people to think as well. It's get feedback before you start. You don't necessarily need a platform running to be able to then get feedback.
No, it literally could just some visuals of what it could look like and what problem it's mitigating. I think it would have been enough.
Yep.
So yeah.
So on that roadmap, do you have anything sort of exciting new features that you're happy to tell anyone about that are coming through on your platform?
Um, the one that's going to be really tricky is basically the AI having a really sound understanding of your shopping behavior on certain websites,
Mm-hmm.
and then being able to give you personalized recommendations off the bat. And even if it leads, so I'm trying not to create
You
additional
don't have
features.
to.
I'm trying to keep it up to the feedback, but this is sort of what I want. And then in the search bar as well. So having the LLM power your search bar on a website, and then giving products that is trained on all your history of your shopping behaviors, what sort of products you like, what colors you typically tend to go for, all that sort of stuff. I think that'd be really exciting for websites. And I just think if you can make LLMs the, I guess, power source of your tool, over 2, 5, 10 years, your rate of innovation and improvements compared to a traditional tool that's hard coded for the most part would just be crazy.
Yeah. And having that very personalized recommendations and personalized or personalized adjusted output is going to
Yeah,
be, I think that's where the internet's headed in a
and
bigger direction. So it's a great spot to be.
the fact that it's learning and improving with each query, and at the moment I just don't think AI has enough use, especially in for business use cases.
Yeah.
So once it starts actually getting all those users, I think the rate of innovation is going to be pretty crazy. And I think if you to call yourself an AI product, you've got to be LLM powered.
Yeah.
It can't just be an add-on to your existing offering. I'd be rebuilding with an LLM as sort of the powerhouse for your tool.
Yep. Yeah. If you're not going down the machine learning route and doing the full proper traditional AI, then yeah, you need to have the full underpinning through your platform, not just a bolt-on feature that if you took it off, it wouldn't be any different.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. All right, well, Jack, it's been a great chat. Thanks for your time today and jumping on the episode. If anyone wants to reach out and find out more about yourself or Norg, how can they do that?
You can visit our website, so it's Norg.ai, and then also our business email solutions at Norg.ai.
Yep. Awesome. Well, thanks again, Jack, and I appreciate you jumping on board and recording an episode.
No worries. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Cheers.